New York State recognizing one of Central New York's own. Local police officer Triston Campbell honored for making our roads safer by getting drivers under the influence off the streets. He is breaking barriers as he redefines being in law enforcement while making Black history at the same time. As Triston Campbell puts on his Town of Manlius police uniform.
A lot of those challenges that I've, witnessed or, seen has helped, propel me to where I am today.
He is also wearing what made him a man before the badge, gun and flashing lights.
Me coming from where I come from and, seeing some of those challenges growing up as a kid, in an inner city, I decided myself that, rather than be a part of the problem, I want to be a part of the solution. I want to be a change agent. And that also inspired me to, do what I'm doing today.
Taking the oath to protect and serve as a police officer meant Triston would make history in his own home.
As the first and only law enforcement officer in my entire family, that is pretty cool. And it's an honor and privilege to be able to say that.
The son of parents who came to the United States for a better life, relocating to New York City in hopes of giving him the American dream.
My parents are from the island of Jamaica, and they came to this country at a very young age. And I understand what opportunity means to them and what it means to me. And most of my inspiration comes from knowing that there is a lot of opportunity in this country.
His work as a patrol officer speaks to that determination. New York State feels the same. This month, Officer Campbell receiving 2 awards of excellence from the governor's office for outstanding DWI enforcement.
Speaking for probably most people, there is a little bit of caution and concern when you are getting pulled over. I make a conscious effort to, make people feel comfortable, so that experience for them is not so, nerve-wracking or, traumatizing or something like that.
In 2 years, Officer Campbell would make over 60 traffic stop arrests of drivers under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Each time a possibility of saving someone's life.
This was not your typical traffic stop. And I went to check on that person, and as I walked up to the vehicle, this person was, had a needle and was actively injecting what appeared to be drugs into her body.
Who are you outside of this uniform?
I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a friend. I wear a lot of hats, Melanie.
Because of those hats, Triston always has one goal before stepping out of his squad car: to make it home.
My sons, they all look up to me. They think I'm a superhero.
Officer Triston Campbell's dedication to being the change is why we celebrate Black history. Joining us this morning is Lieutenant Malinowski. Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning. Happy to be here as always. You have a good week?
Yes, I did. What about you?
Stressful, but always happy to close out the week here. So
yeah, you were definitely busy with those press releases coming into our newsroom every single day about everything that's happening in the city.
There's a lot.
And a lot of residents frustrated and upset this week regarding Syracuse police and their safety, as there was a string of robberies, up to 4 in one day. What is Syracuse police doing to make sure that these citizens are safe?
Yeah, so we have seen an increase in robberies. Now, we talked about this last week. We're still seeing a trend when it comes to buying and selling online, and then when you actually go to meet up. So we talked about those safety tips, but another kind of trend that we're seeing, which I think would be an unintended consequence of the marijuana legalization, is that now people who are legally possessing marijuana in greater quantities or even growing the products in their home, we have seen that those residences are becoming victims of robberies or burglaries. So again, if you're going to choose to partake in storing marijuana in your house or growing it, you have to be aware that there's really not a robust legal market that you can buy it in right now. So if you are going to possess these things, you do run the risk of people wanting to burglarize your home or rob you of those products. So you're going to want to take those extra precautions. But it's interesting, to say the least, that we've seen this trend happen, but it's something that people need to be aware of if you're going to be in that type of business.
Another trend we're seeing across the nation and even here in Central New York are concerns about stalking when it comes to the Apple AirTags. And we spoke to an Oneida County woman who says this happened to her. Take a listen.
Started cleaning out the back seat of my car and reached under the passenger car seat and pulled out a piece of garbage. And as I did that, this device rolled out from underneath my car seat.
The Apple AirPods, that's a great topic. I'm actually glad you brought that up. So this is kind of something relatively new that we're seeing. So if you're not aware of the technology, the AirTag is something that you can put on something like, I tend to lose things a lot. So you can set them on your keys, a water bottle, anything that you want to be able to locate, and then you can kind of GPS it on your phone and it'll show you. But of course, people are always going to try to take advantage of technology. So we've seen, stalkers, creepers, things like that, actually putting these things on people's vehicles or throwing them in their car, and then they're able to track their location. Handled a call like this personally when I was working the mall. A girl came up to us and told us this, and she was showing us on her phone. It tracked her movements for a few days or a week or so. Something to be aware of. Now I'll say Apple at least will warn you on your phone if you did not install this AirTag yourself that you're being tracked, which is a great feature that Apple is able to do that. But there may be similar products that are out there that won't notify you. So one thing to know, if you keep going out in public and the same creepy person is always following you around and knows your moves, or they just always seem to know where you're at, you may want to check your vehicle once over and see if this device is either in your car or attached behind the license plate or under a bumper, something like that. Something to be aware of. And like I said, that may explain why that person is following you around and you can't figure out why. So we had a robust campaign this month. It's important to us to really highlight the past, present, and future successes of the officers from African-American descent. If you follow us on social media, you'll be able to see that. And it's really just been a chance to really highlight some of the accomplishments that we've seen from our Black officers. But again, you have to kind of follow us on our social media pages to see that. Great month for this. And then obviously, you'll probably be in favor of this, but we have Women's History Month coming up next month. So again, we're going to see some of the accomplishments that women have made on the organization, and we're going to try to feature those all month. So again, if you want to see kind of what we're doing, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We'll give you the chance to see the history of Syracuse Police and the impact women have had on it in the upcoming month.
Thank you, Lieutenant Malinowski, for joining us this morning.
Of course. Thank you.
Joining us now is Matt Reed from Spatchcock Funk with today's What's on the Menu item, Seared Tuna Sliders.
Spatchcock Funk in the house. We're about to put people on notice, making what we call the tuna monster. There's these two guys, good friends of mine that I lived with for a long time. And one of them, to keep the other one in check, would kind of play some games on him. And you'd be sitting there playing video games in the room, and all of a sudden he'd walk in, and you knew it was on when he walked in and he said, "It's the tuna monster, catch me if you can." And when he sang that song, you knew he had opened a can of tuna fish and hid it somewhere in your room. All right, now our boy, the guy that was the recipient of the tuna monster, he didn't like this game because it got more complicated over time. In fact, at one point, one of our boys hid the tuna monster so well, he took the soles out of one of our friend's sneakers, put the tuna underneath the soles, and put the soles back on. It took a while to find that, but when he did, it got real. Back to the sandwich. So a good cut of tuna that you've patted dry, right? Make it at least 1.5 inches thick, but sashimi grade because we're gonna cook it. It's still gonna have some raw color in the middle of it, and we're gonna use the marinade twice during this dish. So the first thing we're gonna do actually is make the marinade for this. So we've got a bowl. We're gonna put 2 tablespoons of soy sauce in there, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, and a tablespoon of honey. Then we're gonna put in a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper and black pepper, okay? And then 1 whole chopped up green onion. Now, the reason why we have all this stuff in there is the hot stuff. When you use hot flavors, people think, oh, it's gonna be too spicy. Actually, this low level, you won't notice the heat, but the heat brings out the other parts of the flavor. So at that point, what we're gonna do is we are going to put our beautiful pieces of fish into this marinade and let it sit for at least 10 minutes, but it can go for a few hours. We've got it marinated, so now get a cast iron skillet, heat it for 3 to 5 minutes and get it ripping hot. Then we're gonna put them on there for 1 minute and 5 seconds each side. That's it, that's perfectly medium rare. Look at these beautiful monsters right here. We've got them sitting on our King's Hawaiian rolls. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take a little bit of flake salt and just hit a little bit of flake salt on top of each one, all right? Then what we're gonna do is that marinade we have. And don't worry, even though it's already been on raw stuff, it's sashimi grade, so it's still gonna be very, very clean and healthy and good. So we're gonna put some of that over the top of each one of these beautiful babies. Then from there, we're gonna hit it with a little bit of toasted sesame seeds because that just looks fun, add some more flavor to it. And to top these guys out, okay, we're gonna do some bib lettuce because we like the soft feel of it, and it's a good, easy, rippable size. So I'm gonna put a couple pieces of bib lettuce on here. Then each one gets one slice of a beautiful vine ripened tomato, and we're gonna top each piece of it. We took Mexican cream, which we love it, mixed a whole container with 2 tablespoons of wasabi and a hint of lime juice. So just like a splash of it. That becomes the top. So now we've got a bunch of different flavors all just battling like giant monsters like Godzilla and so forth just to get it all done right. And those, my friends, are tuna monsters. Now it's time to put hunger on notice and take a bite of the tuna monster. Catch it if you can, y'all.